Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Golf Course Lawn Show. My name is Ron Henry, and I am here to help answer your lawn care questions. Now, if this is the first time you're joining us, welcome. Super happy to have you here. The way this works is really simple. On your screen, you will see a chat box. And in that chat box, you get into your question, concern, comment of the day, and I work through them in the order that they come in. Now, sometimes I have the answer, sometimes I do not. But either way, we have an awesome time talking about lawn care and sometimes life. Hope everyone is doing well. Happy Friday. We're coming to you guys live as YouTube as our primary platform, but you can also reach us on Meta and also on Instagram. I will get Twitter working eventually again too. I just got to sign up for like the premium subscription so I can actually stream to it. But yeah, so feel free to interact, ask any questions you guys may have. We should be trying to make this show as fun as possible tonight. It's a slow time of year, right? So things tend to be a bit shorter, but it's we still have fun talking about your goals for 2025. So we released some new content discussing, what you can be doing this time of year to get your lawn ready for next year, to pretty much to get yourself in the best position now, as well as set yourself up for success in 2025. So we'll walk through that in a little bit, as well as show off some beautiful lawns. Tom Hoffenkamp was nice enough to send some pictures in right before the show, so he's giving us an update as far as how his ryegrass overseed is coming along. So any of you that did not overseed your lawn this year, and you want to say, hey, if I overseeded my Bermuda lawn with perennial ryegrass, what could I have had? Stay tuned to be able to see that. All right, so let's see who we have in the show this evening. All right, first up, we got Mr. Jackie Bear saying, have an excellent stream, sir. Brother still under the weather. Holler. Well, I'm sorry to hear that, Jackie. Sorry to hear you're not feeling well. I think last week you were not feeling well either. So hopefully whatever it is not too serious and that you will recover soon enough. Hopefully that goes away here soon. Hopefully you're on the mend. And then next up, we got Mr. Jason Harrison. He says, happy Friday, everyone. Let's talk grass and Chick-fil-A and anything other than Tuesday. We are all friends here, and I hope it stays that way. That's a fair sentiment, Jason. Yeah, I mean, election's finally over. There's not going to be ads all over TV. My mailbox isn't stuffed with flyers anymore, and it's, it is done. And all I can say, all we'll say on the election is this: regardless of whether your person won or lost, be nice to one another. Reserve the ability to engage in thoughtful disagreement, and you realize we don't all necessarily have to necessarily like or not like, to either like or not like the results of the election, but just be nice. That's all I can say. Be nice, regardless of how it worked out. Be nice. Life goes on, and most importantly, our lawns are unaffected by whoever's running the country, right? So that's always a good thing. All right, next up, we have Jason Harrison. He says, especially the non-diet lemonade. Yeah, I had spoken to Jason earlier. We were chatting before the stream started, and I said, Chick-fil-A is really tasty. And he said, especially the non-diet lemonade, which is true, man. That's the only miss. Every now and then, every time I step away from Chick-fil-A, because there was another wing place, like a wing place that opened up right next to my local Chick-fil-A, and I ventured in there for a while. It's tasty, but you realize like how much together Chick-fil-A has it, just from the service standpoint. As far as fast food goes, you can actually eat somewhat healthy there. If you go to some of the more grilled offerings, and overall, just they always make me feel like that me having a good day is important to them. So the fact that I'm on a first name basis with my folks at my local Chick-fil-A is a big part of it. Like, I don't have to start all over. Like, the relationship's already there. They know what I want. When I just roll up, they kind of know what I'm gonna be ordering. They definitely always make sure the lemonade has no ice in it. They know that. So it's tough to kind of stray away from what to start something new. But I agree with you, Jason. Chick-fil-A is pretty awesome. Save the diet lemonade. All right. Next up, we got a question from Jason Harrison. This is a good one. He says, when will the new Essential G replacement be available? Any guesses? Yeah, so if you guys don't know, Essential G, which is the granular biostimulant we all know and love, been using for several years, unfortunately, tis going away. It's going to be replaced by a new offering from Miramichi Green called Carbonized PN-G. So you have Carbonized PN. It's going to be called Carbonized PN, but in granular form. So as far as when that's going to be available, the plan is the first part of next year. The first part of next year, early next year, is when it's going to be, it's going to be released. Now I know they're rolling heavy right now as far as manufacturing, making sure they got plenty of inventory, plenty of supply, so when we do release it, we have enough to go around. Having said that, now is a great time that if you are looking for a way to save on Essential G, which again is pretty awesome. Don't think because there's a new thing coming in that Essential G is no longer any good. Essential G is still so awesome. I still got a bunch of it in my garage that I plan to slowly dole out, because once it's gone, it's gone. We still do have some in stock, and unlike most products on the store, we are running a sale, reducing the price on it to help move that inventory out. There's nothing wrong with it. It's all fresh products, all great product. So if you want to load up now on an excellent biostimulant, it's got excellent reviews, and if you scroll down here, you can see the feedback that folks have offered on the product. People absolutely love it. So if you want to take advantage of that, feel free. The price of Carbonized PN-G will be more than this. It's absolutely going to be more than this. I think Essential G before was $64.99. I imagine Carbonized PN-G is going to be at least that. So if you're looking to get a granular biostimulant and just, again, an excellent product, it's the same stuff that we've been using for years at a reduced price, feel free to load up on Essential G. There's no purchase restrictions, so get it while you can, because once it's gone, it's gone. And I don't want to hear, I didn't know, I was thinking I could wait another week, and that's going to be it, because we do have limited inventory left. It is dwindling down quite a bit, and once it's sold out, it's sold out. You'll notice you guys can't even get the super sacks anymore. I've had some requests for those, and we're just not doing the super sacks, the 2,000-pound bags anymore. So pretty much if you want it, you have to get it in the individual 40-pound bags, and again, once it's gone, it's gone. So if you want to load up now and also for next year, if you really like the product and don't want to take any chances of there being a lapse in your ability to be able to apply your granular biostimulant of choice, I would highly recommend getting your Essential G. But to answer your question, Jason, the plan is the first part of next year. So the goal is for there not to be too much of a gap in between Essential G going away and or Essential G being unavailable anymore and carbonized PNG being available for sale. That is the plan. That is the plan. All right. Next up, we have Mr. Gene DeWolf. Gene DeWolf, it's a good question. He says, 47 days and no rain in Ackworth, Georgia. Applied split application of Specticle FLO on August, and on the 19th of August, and then again on November 1st. How much water is needed to water the product in? I had a large patch of POA in 2023. Great question, Gene. So it sounds like you were fighting with some POA annua last year. You're trying to avoid that this year. I get it. As far as how much to water in Specticle FLO, 1/4 of an inch of water is plenty. I tend to just run a normal irrigation cycle, which puts out between 1/4 and 1/2 an inch on my irrigation system. So I'd say if you have an irrigation system, simply run a normal cycle. That's going to be good enough. If it also rains, you'll also be good to go. But 1/4 of an inch of water is what you're going to want to put down to be able to move that product into the soil profile to ensure that it works and keeps POA annua out of your lawn in the fall and also next spring. Great question. Good choice on Specticle FLO, man. Again, it is not inexpensive. You know, I get a lot of feedback from folks saying, you know, why is it so expensive? It's expensive because it works. It's really, as far as residual, it's much longer than, I guess, lesser offerings like prodiamine and dimension, dithiopyr, and its ability to control POA annua, especially in warm season turf grass, is really, in my opinion, unmatched. It's an excellent product, and you do get what you pay for. So you get a bottle of this, and it's going to last you for years and years and years. So good stuff. Yeah. So and you know, it's an interesting point. You know, I also wanted to talk about tonight is I've gotten some questions from folks, you know, around this time of year, folks that were not necessarily happy with their lawn care service over the course of the season, the past season, right? They said, hey, you know, I had a lawn care service, wasn't really happy with it, and I want to, you know, get rid of my lawn care service and start doing everything myself because I think it's going to be a way for me to do things, you know, cheaper. And you know, anytime I get that email or I get a discussion about that, I always, you know, try and level set folks and say, hey, listen, you know, it's actually not less expensive to do it yourself, at least not initially, right? Because you figure, let's say you're a person you are paying, you know, insert whatever lawn care service to take care of your lawn. They're going to come out and do 6 to 8 treatments per year, to include pre-emergent in the spring and the fall. They'll fertilize here and there, and if you call them out and yell, they'll come out and spray weeds if needed, right? And let's say the only thing you own is a mower. If you decide that now you're going to start doing this yourself, there is, you know, the equipment you're going to have to get a broadcast spreader. If you're going to go with a liquid program, which I highly recommend, you're going to need a backpack sprayer of some sort. And then and then everything else that goes along with it, right? So you're going to get your fungicide, your fertilizer, and then just learn how to use all the equipment. So the thing that I always tell people is, if you are looking to move away from a lawn care service and start doing it yourself, you can absolutely do that. But the reason why you do it really shouldn't be to save costs, because you're really comparing two different things. At least the program and that the strategy that I offer when it comes to lawn care. Like what we teach and what we offer on the Golf Course Lawn Store is to create like the top 1% of lawns. That's what we're after, right? We want to be the best of the best of the best. Like when people drive down the street and they see your lawn, it's going to be the best looking lawn on the street. So comparing the program that we do to what a lawn care service does is really not fair. You're kind of comparing two different things. So I always tell folks, if you decide you're going to do it yourself, a couple things to keep in mind is, one, do you enjoy working on your lawn? Like, are you someone that just enjoys being in the lawn? Because if that's you, then that's like check probably the most important box. Because the thing that you have to also keep in mind is, let's say money's no object, right? So you don't really care about the money aspect of it. So you can buy all this stuff, you really don't care. There's still the aspect of your time, right? So if you're not someone that enjoys working on your lawn, takes pride in your lawn, then, you know, you're going to get, the results are going to be limited, because once you get past all the product applications, the thing that really ties it all together and makes your lawn look, you know, its best, it really gives you that manicured look, is regular mowing. So I guess you technically could pay someone to mow your lawn a couple times a week. I mean, that would be kind of expensive. So the thing I told this person that emailed me earlier this week is, and a person actually emailed me the same question today, is you have to really enjoy doing this. It has to be your thing. Like lawn care has to be your thing really for it to make sense. I would not I would not recommend for most folks moving away from a lawn care service strictly from a standpoint of saving money, because if you're doing it the way that we teach at the golf course lawn store, it is going to be more expensive. But the results are going to be like so much better than what you would get from a service. So that's the thing something I wanted to share with everyone tonight that's watching. I told the person that I would give them a response on the show. So man, my word, yeah, again, it's really you're really comparing two separate things. You're comparing a lot, not to say that there's not great lawn care services, because there are really good ones, but you are comparing what I always say, like the good enough. Pretty much your lawn's gonna look good enough to where you're not gonna get yelled at by the HOA. It's gonna look reasonably good if you mow it, to, like, again, the top 1% of lawns. So you're comparing two completely different levels of amazing. So this is gonna cost more, but it's also gonna cost really more in time. The money aspect of it isn't really the big deal. It's really more the time aspect of it. So just something to keep in mind if you are if you're thinking about taking the jump to work on your lawn yourself. I mean, it's great if you enjoy it, but it's one of these things that you have to really enjoy being in the lawn, because the thing that it takes to take a lawn from zero to hero is consistency, right? You have to enjoy the process, enjoy the fact that it's going to take time for it to get better and for you to learn along the way. It's not hard, it can seem intimidating at first, but really isn't that hard to do. It's just you have to really enjoy it and want to put the time and work in, like most things in life, right? So again, hope that helps, Gene. Great question. Again, if you need anything else, do let me know. And again, great choice on Specticle FLO. Awesome product. It is what I use on my lawn. All right, next up we got Mr. Rashad Logan. He says, good evening, Ron. Moved into my house last year, and my backyard is a mixture of Bermuda and Fescue. Okay, well, congrats on the new place. I'm sure there's probably a follow-up question, because that's just kind of a statement. But cool, congrats on the new house. And that's an interesting one, because Bermuda and Fescue, from a standpoint of feeding it and mowing it, that's not too bad. If you need to do like post-emergent weed control, there's some challenges there, but I mean, for the most part, it really shouldn't be that bad to have a blended Bermuda and Fescue lawn. All right, next up we got Mr. Tom Hoffenkamp. He says, woohoo, it's Friday, y'all. Hope everyone is well and enjoying their beautiful lawn lives. Now, Tom, you know that most of us are suffering through our lawn either being fully dormant or in some stage of going dormant. But fear not, guys, fear not. Tom has got us covered. He says, you know what, for all of you folks that did not want to commit to the process of overseeding your Bermuda lawn with perennial ryegrass and having it look incredible, fear not, I've got you covered. You can live vicariously through me. He has some fresh pictures out for us to take a look at. These I received like literally a few minutes before the show started. So this is picture one of his ryegrass overseed. Now, Tom, one thing I was looking at when I saw this, I see you've got this incredible ryegrass overseeded Bermuda lawn. It looks really nice, really lush and green. What's up with your neighbor that's on here on the left, where they got like a rock garden for the lawn? Was it that you were just trying so hard that they just like, you know what, I give up, I'm just gonna do gravel? Is that what happened? Because it's the first time I've ever seen it from that angle. That's a big chunk of area to have as like a rock, I guess a rock garden, rock lawn, or whatever it is. I mean, it looks good. It's clean, but I mean, compared to your lawn, it really makes your lawn stand out even that much more. All right, and then next up, we got a close-up of the ryegrass, looking clean. So, Tom, you got to put the John Deere on this soon, man. I think it's about time. It's getting close. I know you've been push reel mowing it, but I think we are getting close to really, getting ready to that point to unleash the awesomeness of it. And then finally, Tom got one of our hats that we, I got a few. Actually, I got a few of these that were made as a gift from a viewer a few years back. So Tom got one of them, and he's showing it off on the lawn, and it looks good. Hat looks good. Lawn looks incredible, and I'm looking forward to whenever you put the real mower on it, man. When you put the John Deere on that, I just can't imagine how the stripe action is going to look on that. I can tell just looking at the picture here. This is still being mowed with the push mower. I mean, it looks good, but man of culture such as yourself, eventually we're gonna want you to step it up and drop some serious stripe action on that. So we'll be patient. I know you're just waiting. You want to be fully rooted in. You won't take a chance of hurting anything, but eventually we got to put the John Deere on it. We gotta see it. Thanks for sending the pictures. Really do appreciate it. Lawn looks incredible. The process obviously absolutely worked out really well for you. So keep going. Looking forward to seeing how it progresses over the rest of this fall and into next spring. All right, RV18 is up next. He says, evening, everyone. Ron, I purchased a used Klassen power rake. Just ordered the rake and verticut attachments. Tell me your routine on how to use these and how often. Thanks. Great question, RV18. Okay, so first of all, congrats on the new equipment. You know what? We're going to clap it up for that. We're going to give you some dap on some new gear. Always good. All right, so let's talk about first the frequency. When it comes to turf raking, you can do that quite a bit more frequently than you can verticutting. You can turf rake as frequently as once a week if you want to. What I have found, if you've tried it, if you want to get the most bang for the buck, while not spending a ton of time out there, I'd say if you turf raked every other week, so every 2 weeks you turf raked, that's going to be really good. The stripes are going to be incredible. Color's going to look really great. There's not going to be a lot of debris and trash in your lawn. And then when it comes to verticutting, I'd say that once a month, and that's really only for certain times of the year. So I'm not sure where in the country you are, but here in Georgia, my first verticut is typically the end of May. So May, June, July, and sometimes August I will verticut. But at least those 3 months, May, June, July, I'll verticut the lawn. It does a lot to gently thin out the canopy so you don't kind of have scalping issues that you can have, especially if you're real mowing it. You really do want to do something throughout the year to gently thin the turf out. So verticutting is a way to do that. Once a month is all you really need. Now, the most important thing when it comes to using both those tools is in the setup. You really don't want to set up the verticutter or the turf rake to the point where they're like carving a channel into the soil. Now, the Klassen can be used for slit seeding if it's the one I'm thinking about, or it can be used for power raking or turf raking. So the thing is, with the Allet, I set the machine up to where it's 2 to 4 millimeters above the surface. So the blades, if this is the surface, the blades are coming down, and they're just barely above the surface. It does a great job, cutting runners, like as far as the stolons, like cutting those and thinning out the canopy gently without causing undue stress to the lawn, so it recovers really quickly. If you get too aggressive with it, you're just going to lengthen the time for recovery, and there's not really any benefit to it. I've done that before where I've been really aggressive, and it beats the turf up a whole lot, and it just takes longer to come back. And I did not really see any real benefit to that versus, again, setting the machine up just a little bit less aggressively, just above the surface. You get all the benefits with very little downside. Literally a week or so later, you're not really going to be able to tell that it was even verticut. So that'd be the piece of advice I tell you as far as using those and getting the most out of it. It will take you a while to figure out the adjustment on the Klassen to where that needs to be, but once you do, you'll be good to go. So don't be too aggressive is what I would tell you. If anything, start higher. You can always make multiple passes and slowly work your way down if you want to. When it comes to turf raking especially, I'd say that, because if your lawn has never been turf raked before, and you're looking to just clean a lot of debris out of the canopy, it makes a lot of sense to start higher and then slowly work your way down to that 2 to 4 millimeters above the surface of the soil. So again, congrats on the equipment. I think you're really going to enjoy it, and keep us posted as far as how it does. Take pictures, send them in. We'll show everyone on the live stream, the lawn as you're working on it, or if you just want to send us pictures of your new equipment, you can do that too, and we will show it off. People like to look at that, especially this time of year. Not a whole lot of mowing, not a whole lot going on outside. So looking at new gear is always fun, right? Next up, we got Jacob at the house. He says, happy Friday. What's going on, Jacob? Hopefully you are doing well. Thanks for coming in, sir. And then Andre Taylor says, evening, Ron, happy Friday. And then Robert Murtha says, well said. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're talking about what I was talking about. Yeah, as far as like the election. Yeah, man, here's the thing, man. If your life will not change as much as people think they will. Either way. But so just be nice, I'd say, because people get really wrapped around the act. It's almost like how people are with the sports teams. Like they get really, like, your identity is tied up with whether the person you're hoping won or lost. And it matters. It doesn't really matter. And here's the thing: if you don't like the result, wait 4 years. It'll probably change. So don't sweat it. Short Grass says, make lawns great again. Yeah, man. I mean, hopefully your lawns just stay great. You have to change them, let them fall off, and come back on the right track. That would be the hope. All right. Next up, we got Mars Bead from the state of Tennessee saying, happy Hi, happy Friday. What's going on, Mars Beats? Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully the fescue seeding, I know you're working on that, is coming in fairly well. I think you were going to get us pictures at some point, but obviously someone forgot. But we'll let it go. We'll let it go. But yeah, hopefully all is going well in your world, and that the overseeding project you're working on is doing well. All right, next up is Andre Taylor. Says, just put out Essential G and need to hop in the shower pronto. It does have a certain fragrance to it. I will give you that. I will give you that. And that's one thing that is going to change with carbonized PN G. I've got a few bags of it in the garage already, and it doesn't have the fragrance of Essential G. You know, it might be something for me to do. I might be able to show you guys, you know, what it's gonna look the same thing as Essential G. I could say, hey, this is what it looks like, but you're not really here to see it. It's not like visually that much of a difference. But yeah, I've already got some of it. It does not have the fragrance that Essential G does. If that means something to you, some of you guys really like Essential G. I personally like it because you know what it is? Essential G is kind of cool. When you put it out, like the neighbors to your right and to the left, they know it's go time, right? They can tell when they walk outside, like, you know, oh, Ron did something to his lawn. I can tell. Whereas, you know, the new product, they're not really going to be able to tell. They're just going to be able to see, oh, it looks incredible, but hey, you know, there's not any signs as far as there's no fragrance to let them know that it's going down. All right, so next up we got Sovereign Designs. He says, my FedEx guy loves me because I meet him at the curb when the Essential G arrives. Just ordered another bag. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Yeah, man, that's good. I'm glad to hear that you go and help him out because the boxes can be a bit heavy, so it's nice that you go there and you meet him at the curb, and always a good time. Next up, we got Mr. Steven Thompson. He says, happy Friday, Ron. First heavy rainfall down here in Dallas-Fort Worth since I put down 10 yards of mason sand, praying for less flooding, LOL. Steven, let me get this straight. You put down 10 yards? Okay, so when did you do the top dressing? Is it like you did it like in August and only now you're getting rain, or do you just do it recently? Hopefully it's the former where you did it, you know, late summer and it just taken us long for you guys to get rain. But yeah, 10 yards is a lot of material. Hopefully the rain helped it settle in, and along with any irrigation you happen to be running, and if the grass is likely grown through it. Again, I don't know what kind of timing there is between when you applied the top dressing, the lawn leveling project, and the rainfall you just got. But again, hopefully it was not in October or November. So yeah. All right. And then next up, we got Matt Magician, I think. It says, Scotland, not cut the grass in 6 weeks. What should I do? I mean, there's not a whole lot you can do. I mean, just you can stand out there, look at it. I mean, I can, you know, that's a great segue into a blog post that we released today on that very subject, right? On the topic of getting ready for spring, how winter lawn care can set you up for success. So we can jump into that really quick. Now, some of this is going to apply to you. You may have to find different products because a lot of what I'm going to be showing here is not necessarily available in Scotland, but at least the process is something you can perhaps learn from. All right, so where you can find this, if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, go to resources and go to blog. It's the most recent blog, getting ready for spring, how winter lawn care sets your lawn up for success. Because this time of year, you know, it's very easy to neglect things and just say, we'll just, you know, not look at the lawn until springtime, but there are some things you can be doing this time of year. One of the questions that I have been getting is around, you know, if I'm going to use a fertilizer to close out the season, if I want to winterize my lawn, what could I do? So this blog post talks about the role of fertilizer later on in the season, which you're looking to get out of it, and then shows the recommendation that we have, which is the one I personally use on my lawn, which is our Stress 12024 from Lebanon Turf. So reason behind this fertilizer, why this choice, is because it has the higher levels of potassium, which is good for a lawn that is going to transition from warmer weather into cooler temps. It's going to help it manage stress a bit better. This fertilizer, I always refer to it as like the bookends of my program. Like, you know, you have like a bookshelf and you have like bookends that hold the books up. So I use this to start the season. So the 12024 is what I use typically as my first fertilizer in the spring, March timeframe usually. And then the last fertilizer before the lawn goes to sleep. So we wanted to share that as an option on the Golf Course Lawn Store in the latest blog post. If you're looking for a fertilizer to apply this time of year, this would be the choice. If you live in a part of the country where you can still, your grass is still actively growing and you're still mowing it, and you want to to get out there and spray biostimulants or fertilizer or growth regulator on your lawn. They talked about the role of your sprayer, and I also want to take this time to talk about like the importance of sprayer calibration, right? Because when you get into the March timeframe, you get into the time of the year whenever you're ready to hit the ground running, you've already got your soil test done, you're ready to throw products down and start to get going. A lot of you don't like to take the time to sit back and say, hey, let me calibrate my sprayer, make sure everything is good to go. And especially if it's your first time adding a liquid program to what you're doing, it's a good thing to do, right? So now, with it being a quieter time of year, taking the time to mark off a 20 by 50 foot section of your lawn with a couple of flags, and then timing how long it takes for your sprayer to or what walking pace you need to have rather to put out a gallon of solution out of your sprayer is really important. So I've got like lots of content on sprayer calibration, one particular video in general. If you guys are interested in that, I'll link that here in the chat in a little bit. But take this time to go through your equipment. If you're going to if you've never used a sprayer before, you're thinking about getting one, take the time now when it's quiet to figure out what your walking pace needs to be to make sure you put out a gallon of solution over 1,000 square feet, because that really is the most challenging aspect, or I think the most intimidating part for people when it comes to using liquids on their lawn. It's a thing that makes sure that ensures you're going to get a good result. Outside of that, it's just basic math. Like if you got 1,000 square foot lawn, you look at the label. The label will have a certain amount of product to use per 1,000 square feet. With Primo, all of these will have on the label a percentage number of fluid ounces or amount of dry product per 1,000 square feet. Normally that's diluted with a gallon of water. So if you know how long it takes you to put a gallon of solution out over your lawn, then the rest of it is easy mode. So really take the time to calibrate your sprayer. If you've not done so, it's one of the most important things you can do for getting the best result when it comes to taking care of your lawn. Most people don't do it, and most people don't get a very good job, get a good result, or get inconsistent results is probably a better way of saying it, when spraying products on their lawn. If you're looking for some content on how to calibrate your sprayer, one way of doing it, there's many ways of doing it, but the way that I like, because I think it saves time and is also more consistent in as far as the results you get, there's this video that I'm linking for you guys now in the chat. I'll put it right here so all of you can avail yourselves of it. Calibration video, so you can check that out. And yeah, so sprayer calibration, really important. It's important. It's a key aspect of getting a good result in your lawn. This time of year is a good time to boost the quality of your soil using a granular biostimulant. I recommend Essential G. Also happens to be on sale right now if you're interested in it. And then it's not a topic that I've not revisited lately, but if you're looking for something you can be doing, Magician, this time of year, you guys probably can't get these over in Scotland, but anyone here stateside can get them, and that is soil testing. So the question might be, why would you want to do a soil test in the fall? Like, why this time of year? You're not typically putting out a lot of fertilizer on your lawn. You're not you're not feeding it regularly. So what are the benefits of doing a soil test in the fall? Well, there's the answer is twofold. One, it allows you to measure the effectiveness of your program this previous season, which can be useful. You can see, hey, my goal was to build up, say, my potassium level or my phosphorus levels in the soil. What are they at? The only way to know that is through using a soil test. So it's either good for that. And then more importantly, this time of year, is if your soil pH is off, right? So pH, I think it stands for power of hydrogen. And why it's important is that depending on where your soil pH is, that dictates nutrient availability. So you go out and you put out a fertilizer, and maybe a nitrogen fertilizer or a fertilizer with micronutrients in it, and the ability for the grass to be able to make use of that nutrient you're putting into it is largely dictated to where the soil pH is. For most turf grass, you want your pH to be somewhere in the ranges in the sixes. So on the low end, 5.8, on the high end, 7.1, 7.2, but really in the sixes, that's the Goldilocks zone. And the way to know that is with a soil test kit. So the one that we recommend is from My Soil. It's really easy to use. The nice thing about them is that they also save your results, so you can track how your soil is changing over time. And then based on where your soil pH is, you can either raise or lower said pH using a combination of lime, sulfur, or we also have offerings in the Golf Course Lawn Store as far as products from Magical that will help with that. Next up, we talk about some things you want to avoid if you live somewhere. And this in Georgia, where I live in Georgia, is not necessarily this is as big a deal. But if you live somewhere where it gets below freezing temperatures and it stays that way for extended periods, you really want to avoid heavy foot traffic. You want to avoid getting on the lawn or walking on the lawn. You can damage the grass by doing that. Bermuda is really resilient, but really in general, if the grass is frozen or it's snow covered, if you can, you really want to avoid a lot of heavy traffic on it. It's going to cause damage that you'll likely have to contend with in the spring. So we talk about avoiding heavy foot traffic. If you live somewhere, like I said, like Colorado, a good person that comes to mind is like Devon, right? If you live in a part of the country where it snows and the ground can be snowed covered for months, like on golf courses, they will often put covers on the greens to help protect them from extreme cold. Now, on your lawn, depending on the size of your lawn, you may or may not opt to do something like that. But we wanted to mention it as an option, for those of you that really want to protect your lawn as much as possible between now and next spring. Some of the problems you can have are winter weeds, disease issues. So we talk about the importance of pre-emergence, as well as options for keeping your lawn disease free. And if you guys remember a couple live streams ago, I'm a big fan of this time of year using this to fix to carry out work that's important, but not necessarily fun to do when the season is fully going. So if you have parts of your lawn where you have issues with drainage, maybe you have like a downspout that comes off your house and it drains into the lawn and it creates a problem where that area just doesn't dry out very well. Now's a good time of year to get some flex tubing or figure out some ways to reroute that water so it doesn't dump into the lawn. Maybe you can get it to go onto pavement or sidewalk or some kind of hardscape so that you reduce the flooding problems, because with that you can have disease issues. The grass can have more difficulty growing in. It's a lot of negatives that come from having soil that is overly saturated. So again, this time of year is a great time to kind of look at your lawn and just take you step back and say, what can I be working on? What are some projects that I can really be doing any time of year that I'm not going to want to do in the springtime that I can knock out now? So hopefully you guys get some value out of this. It's linked as the pinned comment in the live stream. Again, we're really proud of this. It was a lot longer, but we shortened it down to try and make it as concise as possible. So hopefully you guys get some value out of it. It gives you some ideas as far as things you can do to get your lawn looking its absolute best for next year. So good stuff. Hopefully you guys get some value out of it. All right. Next up we have, let me get to here. Next up we have short grass. Short grass says, when are you converting your zoysia on your front lawn? So great question. Yeah. So if I decide to do it, which I'm really leaning towards doing that, I'm looking at like March timeframe short grass. I want it to be not necessarily like really hot yet, but I want it to be where the temperatures are trending warmer when I get that done. So March is when I'm planning to do it. I haven't fully settled on the zoysias yet. I'm thinking I'm going to do like El Toro or Compadre. I'm leaning towards that. So we'll see. I have the fall and winter to decide to look at different types of zoysia and make a decision. But I think it'll be a cool project. It'll allow me to really fix some of the uneven areas that I don't like in the front lawn. And it'll be something fun to work on, right? I'll have an actual zoysia area for me to play with and test different spray rates and products on and that kind of thing. So it's good for content, and it's also fun to kind of change things up a bit. So looking forward to doing that next year. My plan again though is March timeframe. All right, next up is Devin. What's going on, man? Speaking of you, yeah, he says, what's up, Ron? I guess lawn and turf season is done here in Colorado. Has been snowing all day, every day since Tuesday. Wow, that's horrible. Nearing 24 plus inches currently, 5 to 8 more tonight. Good grief, man. I can't imagine. Do you just keep your snow blower just like, right out the front door? I mean, I can't imagine the kind of mess that creates. Whenever you get some time, Devin, you have to come in and have to on the live stream, even if you want to just hang out for an hour or so, and let us know like what you guys do, like what changes as far as how you take care of the course when you have this kind of snow. I imagine you're covering the greens. There's probably not a whole lot else, but if there's anything else that you guys do, it'd be cool to hear about it now that things sounds like they're going to be slowing down for the next few months, given the amount of snowfall you're having. That is, I cannot imagine that. 24 inches, like 5 to 8 inches of snow in Georgia would be an absolute nightmare. Like it would be, I don't know what would happen. I mean, we get like just snow, freezing rain in the forecast, and like all the shelves in the supermarkets get cleaned out, all the egg and cheese and bread and toilet paper get all used up. So 8 inches, I could not even imagine. And you're at 24 inches since it's been raining since Tuesday. That's or snowing since Tuesday. That would be insane. So hopefully we never have those kind of problems. But yeah, again, open invitation. Whenever you got free cycles, if you want to come on the show, even if it's only for an hour, welcome to do so. All right, next up is Oliver. Oliver Ridham is in the live stream. He says, good evening, Ron. Question on soil testing. How long can you leave your collected soil out in a bucket before putting it into the resin jar? That's a good question. I don't know, Oliver. I typically always collect it and then put it into the jar the same day. That's a good question. I have to ask the folks at my soil. I don't think that it really matters, but I'll have to ask them. I don't know the answer to that. That's a good one. I'm not sure. I mean, but if it's not that big a deal, you can always just go out and collect, fresh cores again. That's always something you can do. But I'm inclined to think that it doesn't really matter. But I'll reach out to them. I'll get an answer for you, and I have your email. So I will let you. I'll let you know if I'll ask them and get an answer for you. Actually, you know what? I can probably reach out to them during the live stream and see what they say. Okay, cool. Yep. So we'll see if they respond during the live stream. If not, I'll get an answer for you next week. All right. Next up is Los. He says, hey Ron, happy Friday. What watering schedule do you recommend for my tall fescue during the colder season? Air temps average in the 70s during the day and 40s at 40s at night. It's hard to say low. So in my case, I am running an irrigation cycle of once per week. So normally the spring and summer months, it's Monday, Friday, Wednesday. I've been doing 3 times per week this season, and it was working really well. I think October I switched to just one time, once per week. And that's been well for me. So it's hard to say. What I would do is this, whatever irrigation cycle you've been running throughout the spring and summer months, you should be able to reduce that some this time of year. So I'd say remove at least one day of watering and just engage after a week or so how the lawn is doing. Also keep in mind too that the amount of rainfall you're getting will also make a difference as well. So look at it. It's a bunch of factors, but in my case, I cut my watering down by 2/3. I was watering 3 days a week. I am now running irrigation 1 day per week. And again, the lawn is still slowly going dormant. But it's been just fine. We also been getting rain here and there, so I haven't needed to be watering quite as much. But it's difficult to tell you for sure that that if you're watering 5 days a week, go cut it in half. I would say slowly ratchet it down and take a look at the lawn and see how it does. It shouldn't need nearly as much water in November than it did again like in the summer months. You being 70s in the day and 40s at night, again, that's a fairly cool temperature range. So if it's peaking at 70 degrees and then, a bit above freezing, at night, you may not have to water at all. Again, once you might be able to do the same thing I'm doing, which is like once per week. Again, assuming you're not also getting rain to supplement that. So hope that helps, sir. It's a good question. And that's one definitely a good benefit. Any of you guys or gals with fescue lawns, your lawn still gets to look pretty cool, pun intended, this time of year, whereas our lawns look not as good. Not as good, right? All right, next up is Justin King. He says, howdy, Ron and all. Hope everyone is doing good. Been away for a while. Just wanted to say hi. What's up, Justin? Hopefully all is doing well for you. Thanks for coming by to say hello. The next up is Mr. Brett May. He says, Ron, I'm putting down a split application of Specticle FLO this fall for pre-emergent. I like it. I have Bermuda in North Texas. What would be the best pre-emergent that you would recommend in the spring? Great question, Brett. So a couple of options. You could use either prodiamine in the spring, or you could use dimension. So I'll show you really quickly here. If you go to the golf course lawn store, go to shop, and then go to weed killer, and then use our carefully curated pre-emergent filter. You could use, again, prodiamine is a great choice. I am a big fan of dimension, though, in the springtime. Reason being, it's not that much more expensive than prodiamine. And then if you think about one of the benefits of dimension is that it has the ability to control young crabgrass in a lawn, right? So if you were split between the two of them, then dimension makes more sense in the spring than it does in the fall months. So let's say, for example, next year you decided that you didn't want to use Specticle FLO. I can't imagine why you would do that. But if you decided you wanted to do something else in the fall, prodiamine or split apps of prodiamine in the fall make more sense to me than split apps of dimension in the fall. So if it were me, I would lean towards dimension for your spring pre-emergent, and you know, you should be good to go. I mean, given that you're going to be doing a split application of Specticle, I imagine in the beginning of September, and another one here soon, you know, you really should be in a good spot, regardless of which one you use. But again, for the reasons I just explained, dimension makes more sense to me as a springtime pre-emergent than prodiamine does. Either will work well. Either I've used both; they both work well. But again, prodiamine isn't going to do a whole lot for you against crabgrass that is germinating, whereas dimension will. So I'll send you a link of where you can pick that up should you desire to do so, Brett. But yeah, that's it's good. That's a good call. Either one of those will work well. There are some people that actually use Specticle in the springtime. I'm not a huge fan of doing that because it can cause some I want to say stunting, but it can delay green up depending on the rate that you go with in the springtime. So really, I try to reserve Specticle as more of a fall pre-emergent. All right. Next up is Rashad Logan. He says, my question was, how do I get rid of fescue in the Bermuda? Do I kill it all off and seed in the spring, or will the Bermuda eventually take over this fescue? A great question, Rashad. So what you can use is a post-emergent herbicide that is safe for warm season grass, but is not safe for cool season grass, like Celsius. So if you spray a fescue lawn with Celsius and a surfactant, so if you this combination, your warm season grass, your Bermuda, will tolerate it just fine, whereas your fescue will not. So if you're looking to selectively remove fescue out of Bermuda, Celsius is a great choice. As far as killing it all off and seeding in the spring, I wouldn't do that because here's the thing. Depending on the kind of Bermuda you have, I imagine it's more than likely a hybrid, so it was sodded. And if you go out and you get grass seed, Bermuda grass seed, it's going to be some kind of improved common. So it's not going to match. And the last thing you want to do is mix common Bermuda with hybrid Bermuda because they do look very different. They grow different. And it's very difficult to get rid of common Bermuda in a hybrid Bermuda lawn once it's there. There's not really a selective way of doing so. So I would say to get rid of the fescue, do Celsius and surfactant. And then depending on how big of an area we're talking about here, you could plug it and allow that to let that to grow in. Like that is the way. We'll give you a couple options as far as like method that is going to be guaranteed to match, to less likely to match, to very unlikely to match. So the best way to absolutely ensure there's no doubt that your existing Bermuda lawn, when you kill off the fescue and you install Bermuda, or you transport Bermuda there to get it to match, is to use the existing grass. So whatever's in your lawn, if you can transfer plugs into that area, assuming it's not a really big area, that is going to ensure that once that area fills in, it's going to match perfectly because it's the exact same grass, right? You're basically transferring plugs from one area of your lawn to another. That's going to be ensure it matches perfectly. The next option would be if you know what kind of sod you have. So say you have like Chick-fil-A 419, which is probably the most common Bermuda sod that gets installed on residential properties. You could go to a sod farm and get some Chick-fil-A 419 and put that in. Whether it matches perfectly your existing Bermuda sod is kind of a crapshoot. It's kind of difficult to say. Like I've had like the Real Rollers turf park party that we had this past October. There was a viewer that showed me his lawn that was Chick-fil-A 419 looked gorgeous, and he had an area where there was I guess a cesspool or something they had to dig out and remove it, and then they went through and they resodded afterwards, and they brought Tifway 419 sod in, and it, as clear as day, you can see the area where the new sod is, and it's been a while, so it's not like it's because there's something buried beneath the surface. It's just literally because the grass color is slightly different to what his existing grasses, even though they're supposed to be the same grass type. So sod would be your next option after transferring plugs. And then way as an option, way down the list would be, in my opinion, seeding. Seeding sounds easy, but again, more than likely when it comes to Bermuda grass seed, what you're getting is an improved common. So it's going to be, in most cases, a thicker leaf blade. It's not going to grow as tight, and it tends to be lighter, a bit lighter in color than the darker color of hybrids. And again, once it's in, you can't really get rid of it. It's really tough to get rid of. And if you do, you're going to damage the hybrid as far as getting it out, if you're going to use like glyphosate and fusilade to try and kill it off. So best way is plug. Second best would be sod. And then far down the list would be grass seed. And I only would recommend that if you're not super picky about different color and texture in your lawn. If you're going through all this trouble, I imagine that you are. So I would look at between either plugging it or sodding it. That would be my recommendation. So hope that helps. I want to give you something to think about. I know people always want to think about grass seed, but Bermuda grass seed, you gotta really be careful, because it's not going to, as far as it matching, like the closest grass seed that you can't even get it anymore. That was blended nicely with Tifway 419. They called it a hybrid. It was a hybrid from seed. Was Princess 77, and then its successor, Arden 15, but neither of them are available anymore. You can't get them anymore. So in that case, sod or plug. All right, Julius Elliott says, how can we get a hat? You can't just yet. You can't get that hat. Again, it was a gift. Josh Habib. I'm sure Josh, I got to send him a text and find out what he's been up to. But Josh sent me like 4 or 5 of those hats. I'm not sure if I have any other ones out here. Actually, I do have another one I can show you. Like this. He sent me, like, these guys were cool. Like, he sent me like a few of them. So I have only a couple of them left. It's like, this is one that he sent. It's kind of cool. You guys have probably seen. I have 2 of these. So one of them is the one actually we're on videos over there. So this one is in pretty good shape. I think I've only worn this one a couple times. And then we also have the America hat. Also, courtesy of that viewer. So I've only got a couple of them left. I've given them out over the years, like the other ones that he's given me. Those I just kind of hang on to because I really like them, and I guess I could get some more made up, but I just haven't bothered to do so. All right. So hopefully that helps, Julius. Next up is JT. He says, do you have any experience, or have you heard of others applying plant hormones, auxins, gibberellins, cytokines, abscisic acid, triaconatol? No. I've been reading turf application studies from OSU about them. Yeah, so as far as like cytokines, I know that Ecologel makes a product, I think they call it Cytogrow, that has cytokines in it. The other ones, I have not used any products that that I'm aware of that contain those. So if the research paper shows some value in it, and you wanna give it a shot on your lawn, it's probably not going to hurt anything. But as far as products that actually have that, the only thing that comes to mind is the Cytogrow that Ecologel makes. So, and I've not used that one personally on my lawn. I mean, the people that use it seem to like it, but I've not personally had any direct experience with it. All right, next up is Julius Elias. Is it too late to do a soil test in Florida? No, not at all. It's never too late really to do a soil test. If you're Devin, then yeah, you probably want to be soil testing because your lawn is covered in, 24 inches of snow. Probably not a great time to go out and do a soil test. But barring that, if you've got grass, you can walk out on the lawn, you've got soil that you can actually get to, you can do a soil test pretty much any time of year. The only guidance I would give you around when to pull cores would be if you are fertilizing your lawn, like it sounds like you're in Florida. If you're still feeding your lawn, you want there to be at least 3 to 4 weeks between the last time you put a granular fertilizer down to when you pull cores to send them in, to ensure that you're not going to be skewing the results from your test. Like if you went out and you fertilized, say, tomorrow, and then went out Sunday and got cores out of the lawn that you just freshly applied fertilizer on, you're likely going to see some spikes in nutrient, which is going to make the test kind of invalid. So you want 3 to 4 weeks between the last time you did a granular fertilizer input for when you pull cores. That's what I'd recommend. But yeah, you're not too late at all, Julius. If you're looking to get a soil test, we carry them here on the Golf Course Lawn Store, and I'll send you a link to where you can pick one up. If you don't have the probe tool, I don't have one here. It's in the garage, I guess. I would get the starter one, the starter pack, which has the or thing called the starter pack that has one of these, one soil test kit, and the tool for collecting the cores. You'll need to buy the tool one time, and then you can just get the soil test kits after the fact. But yeah, it does make it quite a bit easier for collecting the soil samples without, while minimizing damage to your lawn. So hope that helps. The Trilla from Manila is in the house. He says, "Hey, and happy Friday, everyone." What's going on, Trilla? Hopefully you're doing all right, sir. And then next up, we have Sovereign Designs. He says, "Just curious, what are your thoughts on the Falkenstein or Hudson Star push mowers, or any high-end push mowers for that matter? Smaller lawn here." So I've never heard of the Falkenstein. Now I got now I got to Google it. I gotta know. I gotta know. It sounds like Frankenstein. And the Hudson Star. So here's the thing I would say. The folks that have the Hudson Star seem to really like it. I've never used one personally myself. The challenge I have with it is that the cost. So last time I looked at them, they're almost like $2,000, which is quite a bit, in my opinion, for a push reel mower. Now I get it; they're like a push greens mower. They supposedly cut really well. It seems like a lot for that. But having said that, if you're someone like one, you don't want to have to deal with gas or batteries, and you want like the best cut you can get out of a push reel mower, then the Hudson Star is one of those that should probably be on your list, right? Like if you're never going to buy a gas powered mower, then it's probably worth considering, right? Because then at $2,000, even though it's kind of expensive for a push reel mower, if you get into powered reel mowers, you're looking at that or more, right? So it all depends on what you're really after. Yeah, the Falkenstein, I'm looking at it here. Oh, it's cool. It looks like it has different. Oh, I do like that. That is cool. So from what I understand with the Hudson Star, the last time I looked at it, is it's just a cutting unit. It looks like with this one, you got there's like an interchangeable cartridge systems of sorts, which is kind of nice. Now I don't know how well it works, how well it cuts or anything like that, but that is that's kind of cool. So yeah, if you're looking for, and again, this mower looks like it's $1,800, $1,900 just for the mower, and then all the other cartridges and whatnot. So it really depends, man. I mean, if you're someone that you don't want to deal with gas, you don't want to deal with batteries, then it's probably worth considering. Again, I don't have any direct experience with them, so I can't tell you how well they cut or what the quirks are, the pros and cons. But for a smaller lawn, I can see how the convenience of just being able to take a mower out of the shed, mow with it, and just maybe blow it off and set it back and not really have to do any maintenance other than sharpening it would be attractive. So hope that helps. Sovereign Designs. Again, I've never used it myself, but the build quality looks pretty good. Looks nice. Okay, next up is Mars Bees. It's all done with the heavy work chairs. I promise I'll send photos. Cool deal. If you need an email address, my email is right here, ron@golfcourselawn.com. So send me pictures of your project. You show everyone all of your handiwork. Would be pretty awesome, right? All right, next up is Jonathan Camardo. He says, Headway G application number 2 is due this weekend. I picked up some Essential G for next year. Looking forward to the new product. Awesome, Jonathan. Sounds like you're on your way. You're getting your fall fungicide done, and yeah, getting some Essential G to kind of hold you over until when carbonized PNG is available. I think you guys are going to love it. I'm sure it's going to be a great success. Miramichi doesn't really make bad products, so I'm sure you guys will really enjoy it. And they're really taking their time, right, to make sure they get the launch right? Making sure there's plenty of inventory so that when we do turn it on, you guys aren't like, hey man, I can't get the stuff. It's all sold out. This sucks. Why are you like that? So trying to avoid that. That's the whole thing. I imagine that's how you guys sound whenever you're mad at me, so maybe not. All right, next we got Brett May. He says, I got my fall soul test. You tested your soul? Your soul, Brett? He's got my soil test back and my nitrogen remains really low. I use Lebanon 14714 and spoon feeding with your recommendation program. Yeah, it sounds like half rate spoon feeding. I know there are granules with a lot more nitrogen in them. Would you recommend using that next season? Yeah, so I would still use the 14714, Brett. What you can do is you can just simply up the rate. The rate that we provide that's for the other spreader settings and also the one that we recommend in a lot of our blog posts, have you putting out about 1/2 pound of nitrogen per 1,000 square feet once a month. If you want to increase that slightly, you can. Like, for example, I can show you this. If we go to the Golf Course Lawn Store and look at lawn fertilizer and look at the 14714, Lebanon, in their infinite wisdom, provides 2 different rates. So if we look at the label here, you'll see there is the rate that we recommend, right? Or the setting for 1/2 pound of nitrogen, which is this guy right here. So 1/2 pound of N, say with an earthway, that'd be a setting of 11. And if you're trying to put out a pound of N, which I really wouldn't recommend that much, if you're trying to up it a little bit, you could go from, say, a setting of 11, if that's what you're using, to say a setting of 12 or 13. That would increase the amount of nitrogen you're putting into the soil from like 1/2 pound to 7/10, would help bump that up a little bit. That would be what I would recommend. I would just increase the rate slightly, because again, the rates that we supply on the store and in blog posts assume that you're going to be putting it out at around 1/2 pound of N, using those. So if you need a little bit more, you can certainly adjust to get that. So hope that helps, sir. Again, if you have any other questions, let me know. But yeah, that's what I would do. I would just bump that rate up just a little bit. I wouldn't go all the way up to 1 pound of nitrogen per 1,000. Again, that range I gave you is between 11 on the low end for an earthway spreader up to 15 on the high end for an earthway spreader. I would be somewhere in the middle there. I wouldn't go all the way up to 15, because if you're doing that, you're not leaving yourself a whole lot of room for the liquid fertilizers you're going to be spraying every couple of weeks. So a little bit more, 12 or 13 would be okay. And then if you still want to spray the liquids at low rates, that would be just fine. And then your soil test should reflect an increase in nutrient levels the next time you measure it. All right. Next up, we have my son says, how do you find out how much topsoil you need for your leveling? Hook 'em horns. Well, you know what? At least you're diehard, man. Even though Texas has not been having a great year this year, once they met those Georgia Bulldogs, at least you're still sticking with your team. So I gotta respect that. Now, as far as knowing how much soil you need for leveling, the conventional wisdom, or a general measure or metric to go by, is 1 cubic yard of material per 1,000 square feet. So that kind of assumes you know how big your lawn is. You can use some of the online measuring tools, like tool Measure My Lawn. There's a tool on Google that you can use for, you put your address in, it allows you to draw waypoints on the lawn, and it will tell you approximately how big that area is. And then you would simply, you'd go for 1 cubic yard of material per 1,000. So if you got a 4,000 square foot lawn, then you would get 4 cubic yards of leveling mix. And what that's good for is that will, in most lawns, again, you're assuming your lawn is not crazy bumpy, there's not a lot of crazy stuff going on, that's going to allow you to put out between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of material over 1,000 square feet, which is really all you want. You really don't want to go much heavier than that, because if you go much heavier, you're smothering the grass. The time for recovery is going to be longer. If you get heavy rainfall, you really increase the chance of there being washout and it creating a mess. So that 1/4 to 1/2 inch per 1,000 is really all you're after, and 1 cubic yard is going to be the way to accomplish that. So hope that helps, Maizon. It's a good question, and it's what you'll find is this, right? The first time you level, that 1 cubic yard per 1,000 rule is a pretty good guidance. What I have found is that as you do follow-up top dressings, it takes less material to repair damage, like ruts caused by the mower or some uneven spots you may have missed, or you didn't get everything you wanted the first time. So as you level going forward, you'll be able to stretch that cubic yard a little bit further than what you did on the initial time when you leveled your lawn. So the first time you do it is really, in most cases, going to be the most expensive from a material standpoint, and then you'll be able to back it down in subsequent top dressings or lawn leveling projects. All right. Darren Proctor is up. He says, happy Friday, everyone. Hit that like button. It's not going to cost you anything. I put away all my lawn chemicals for the winter and done inventory for next year. Didn't want any products to freeze. I like it, Darren. And you're absolutely right, guys. We got 84 of you here in the live stream, only 51 likes. So if you are enjoying the show on Instagram, YouTube, Meta, hit that like button. It costs absolutely nothing. It's a free way to support the channel, sends good vibes to your respective platform to send more folks over. So absolutely do that if you've not done so already. It gives me a chance to take a sip of my water. I'm just drinking water. James Smith, if you're around, you'd be proud of me. I'm drinking water. There's no lemonade in here tonight. It's just straight water, you know. All right. It's good. It's not as good as lemonade, though, I gotta say. All right, next up, we got RV18. He says, how do we send pictures to you? You send them via email to here, ron@golfcourselawn.com. If you're going to send pictures, my only request is if you can send pictures of your lawn, do not take pictures like this. Take your phone and rotate it to landscape. Take pictures like this because as you can see, like we are in a 16:9, we're in landscape. And if you take pictures like this, it's easier for me to put them on the show. If you take them in portrait, then a lot of it's like the top part and the bottom part of your picture is going to get cut off. And all the work you guys put in your lawn, all the glorious stripe action, you don't want to lose any of it. So take pictures in landscape if you're going to send me some. But yeah, ron@golfcourselawn.com is where you can email them. Again, and also if you can, like, make it concise. Don't send me like 17 pictures because they won't all get on the show. Like send me your best work, what you're most proud of. All right. All right, next up is Stephen Voss is in the live stream. He says, happy Friday. Still having to mow every 4 days here in Auburn, Alabama. Fungicide going down tomorrow. Looking forward to dormancy and some backyard hardscaping projects. Nice. It's a good time of year to do it. See, I like that. So you're still keeping up with your mowing, but you're already planning that when it goes dormant, maybe you're going to put some kind of rock treatment in or whatever it happens to be. Great time of year to do it because it's going to be slower. Temperatures are not as bad, so it's not going to be terrible to be out in the lawn doing that kind of heavy work. So I like it, Stephen. Once you get the rock work done or whatever you happen to be doing back there, send us pictures of it if you want. We will show it off to the world. Next up is Daddy Batty. He says, happy Friday. I got Poa annua in my Bermuda. I'm pretty sure you like certainty and surfactant. Yes, I do. Can I apply a second time 4 weeks after the first application? You can. The thing I will tell you is make sure that you're using enough of certainty, depending on the maturity of the Poa annua. So the rate of certainty for Poa is, if memory serves me, it's like 1.25 ounces per acre, all the way up to 2 ounces per acre. So on the high end, and depending on the maturity of the Poa annua, you may have to, lean more towards that 2 ounce per acre amount or measurement. So what does that really mean? So certainty comes with a measuring spoon, right? It comes with a small end and a big end. And this big end, one of these scoops is approximately 1 ounce per acre. So if you were going to go out at the high rate after Poa annua, which is what you're going to want to do if it's a bit more mature, you're going to use 2 of these over 1,000 square feet. So some people mix it with 2 gallons of water. I dilute it with 1 gallon of water. That's how I do it. And then a bit of surfactant. And you get a great result controlling Poa doing that. If you go too low, the mistake that most people make when using certainty to control Poa annua is they use the rate for sedges, which is quite a bit less, and they don't get a good result. So when you're dealing with Poa annua, especially if it's more mature Poa annua, you got to step it up. So as little on the low end as 1 large scoop, and on the high end, 2 of these per 1,000 square feet, and that's going to produce a good result. Make sure you use surfactant along with it for best results. And yeah, after you do your first application, 3 to 4 weeks later, if you need to hit it again to finish it off, you can do that. So hope that helps, Daddy Batty. Great question. Next up, we have Efrain Ariaga. Ariaga is up. He has a question about soil supplements or biostimulants. He says, hello, everyone. Señor Ron, saludos. I have been using products like RGS and Flagship, but next year I want to try new products like Essential G. But what other do you recommend for St. Augustine? Thanks. It's a great question, Ifrain. So Essential G is an excellent biostimulant, so you can use that, or you'll be able to use, depending on when you order it. If you want to use Essential G, I would order it now because we have limited inventory of that, and when it's sold out, it's going to be sold out. Worst case, you can always get carbonized PNG next year. Outside of that, as a replacement to the other products you're talking about, if you go to the golf course lawn store and go to shop and then lawn fertilizer, you can't really go wrong with the golf course lawn carbon kit. So the 901C carbon kit contains 3 different products. It contains a kelp product, it contains a fertilizer and biostimulant product in the form of Release Zero, and then finally it contains a microbial biostimulant in BioSpectrum. So it's a complete feeding program for your soil, which is going to help you get more out of any fertilizer that you apply to your lawn. This is what I would recommend for any of the other products that you're using. It's kind of an all-in-one system that we put together with the folks at Miramichi Green. Between that and Essential G, you're really going to be good to go. So I'll depending on the size of your lawn, we do offer it in a couple different sizes. You have a 5,000 square foot kit or a 10,000 square foot kit, depending on how many applications you want to be able to do. And yeah, that's what I would recommend. Also, if you just want to get larger amounts of it, because really the carbon kit is designed for people to use it and get an idea of using the products and seeing the results they get. And a more cost-effective way is to get it in larger quantities. So if you know how big your property is, if you go to the main homepage, you can go to get started. You can plug your lawn size in, and then answer a few questions, and it will spit out a program for you that you can simply add to your cart. So it'll give you fertilizer, it'll give you the carbon kit, give you the biostimulant, give you pretty much everything you need. And this is enough, depending on the size of your lawn, for up to 3 months of coverage. So it's an easy way to answer the question of like, how much product do I need to cover a lawn this size? So I'll also send that to you as well, but you can find that on the homepage of the Golf Course Lawn Store. So again, if you go just to the main homepage, it's right here under Get Started, right there. Or if you want to use it separately, you can go to Resources and then Lawn Fertilization Calculator, and you can do the same thing here. But I'll send you the link to the carbon kit just so you have that. But I would also recommend that just to take a look at the calculator, play with it, and it's a way to just save yourself time as far as like getting everything you need all in one go. So hope that helps, sir. I appreciate you, thinking about us and looking to use, the Golf Course Lawn Store products in your lawn program next year. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised with them whenever you start doing so. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right. Next up is Let's Go Phil says, make mowing great again. Hey, man, mowing never stopped being great. Mowing is one of the best aspects of lawn care that people just don't do enough of. All right, next up is Tom Hoffenkamp. See, here's Tom. You can tell Tom is truly a nice guy. He's like, the neighbor, the rock garden. He's a busy guy. He's the best and kept his rocks right since before I moved in. The John Doe will be rolling Wednesday or Thursday next week. What height should we go? I'm planning on 0.70. I guess you said 0.750, 3/4 of an inch. I like it. I like 3/4 of an inch. I would do that. You might be able to get it a little bit tighter, but 3/4 of an inch is going to look be great, man. That's a great starting point. So whatever height you're maintaining the Bermuda at, you should also be able to do the same thing with that perennial ryegrass. And the thing is, you can likely, if you wanted to, not suggesting this, if you want to play with it, you can. You'd likely be able to go even to a little bit lower and still have it maintain its color better than the Bermuda. So just something to consider. I don't know that it's strictly necessary, but I mean, 3/4 of an inch, 0.70. 0.705 or 0.75, good area to be. What I found as a sweet spot is between 5/8, so 0.625 inches up to 0.75. Like that's a nice range for maintaining your height of cut of your lawn. It keeps the color nice, doesn't require mowing so frequently that it becomes a bit of a chore. So play with it. You got plenty of time. Perennial ryegrass grows so quickly anyway that if you go too low, it'll come back. So I wouldn't sweat it, man. Keep us posted and definitely send us pictures. We're looking forward to it, man. You said Wednesday or Thursday next week, so we should hopefully see some stripe action next week if you're able to take some time to take some pictures for us. All right, next up is Oconee Jacket says, got the 12024 down along with my second app of Specticle FLO and Pillar SC this week. Need some rain in the ATL. Nice. I like it, man. You're on it. Got the plant, got it doing exactly how I would how I recommend it. I like it, Oconee. And we did get a little bit of rain last week. Actually, we had a little bit of rain yesterday and the day before, but it wasn't, it wasn't a ton to write home about. So maybe you didn't get any where you are. I guess Oconee, you're, Athens area. But yeah, worst case, you can just run your irrigation, water it in. You'll be good to go. And next up, he says Revolution 26 coming in soon, and then wait for spring. Let's go. Nice. Yeah, guys. So one of the questions you guys had for me, I was just over at the guys at Real Rollers the other day, and the Revolution 20, I believe they officially launched it, or you can pre-order it, where it's going to be delivered the first part of, or the first quarter rather, of next year. So if you're looking for a slightly smaller mower, the Revolution 20 is an option. So yeah, but yeah, the 26 is a great mower. I love mine. It works quite well. All right. Next up we have Squid Vicious. What is? Oh wow. Okay, so I'm not sure if you're using the live stream. Someone emailed me a picture of them or a small video of how they edge their lawn. This is a different level of dedication than I have, but it's pretty it's pretty funny. The pictures are pretty good too. I mean, they're not landscape like I asked, but we can still show at least one of them off. And I'll be able to show you guys what they're working with. So I guess where there's a will, there's a way. So, normally when I edge my lawn, you can use either a string trimmer if you're really good like Colin, or if you use a stick edger like me, that could work. But maybe your budget doesn't allow for either of them. Maybe, you still want that clean edge, but you don't want to spring for the power equipment, but you still want that clean edge. So one option is what this viewer just sent to me. It's kind of funny. So if you look there, there's a pair of, I guess, scissors, grass shears, and you're saying to yourself, there's no way. Surely no one would edge their lawn that way. And they showed it here in action. And I got to tell you, again, not something I would necessarily do, but you gotta respect it. It is producing a fairly clean edge. I guess, again, not for me, but it's a good edge. It's clean, right? You can't really hate on that too much. I guess if you don't have too big of an area to do, you could you could go that route. It is more eco-friendly than using a gas-powered stick edger, I suppose. So there is that. All right, next up is Squid Vicious. He says people 2x the rate when mixing in 2 gallons instead of 1 per 1,000 square feet. That doesn't make sense to me. 1 pound of product applied to the lawn is 1 pound regardless of the water content. Yeah. So yes and no. So the thing is this is the amount of active if you look at the labels for most products, the way they explain it or the way it'll be written out is X number of ounces or X number of fluid ounces over 1,000 square feet. Now, whether you dilute that amount of product in 1 gallon of water or you dilute that amount of product in 2 gallons of water, as long as that amount of solution, whether it's 1 gallon or 2 gallon for that amount of active ingredient is sprayed over 1,000 square feet, it's pretty much equivalent to a point. Now, if you're using post-emergent herbicides like Celsius, like Certainty, I'm a fan more so of the 1 gallon per 1,000 rate for foliar sprays, because once you get into 2 gallons, or if you get much more than that, if you're not careful, you can start getting some runoff, which is a bit wasteful in my opinion, right? Because these products like Celsius Certainty, Tenacity, if you're using it as a post-emergent herbicide, they're designed to be sprayed on the leaf of the plant and allowed to dry. So if you're spraying it to the point to where it's getting saturated and it's running off and going into the soil, you're really not getting a lot of benefit into what's running off. So you are correct in that the amount of active ingredient, whether you dilute it in 1 gallon of water or dilute it in 2 gallons of water, as long as you apply that over like the designated area of 1,000 square feet, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. But again, when it comes to post-emergent herbicides, if you dilute it too much, in other words, if you take like Celsius and you dilute it in 4 gallons of water, like you take the per 1,000 square foot rate and you dilute it in say 4 gallons of water. While you can do that, you're not going to get a great result because you're going to have a lot of runoff. Like water, like 4 gallons of water over 1,000 square feet for a foliar spray is, in my opinion, is way too much. Like the leaf isn't going to hold all that liquid, all that solution, and a lot of it's going to run off. It's going to be wasted. So you are correct to an extent, but what you're applying does matter. So that's why with certainty, I like to mix I like to dilute it in 1 gallon of water. I get a great result with doing that. And especially if you're also mixing it along with Celsius, it just makes things easier versus trying to dilute certainty at 2 gallons per 1,000 and Celsius at 1 gallon per 1,000. Much easier to mix them both at a dilution rate of 1 gallon of water with the correct amount of product over 1,000 square feet. Like that's worked really well for me, worked well for countless others that have done it. So hopefully that makes sense. But you are right. I mean, like the amount of carrier to a reasonable extent doesn't really matter. Another negative is this, as you increase the amount of water that you use per 1,000 square feet, you also reduce the amount of coverage you get, right? So if you got like a 4 gallon sprayer, and if you're diluting at 2 gallons per 1,000, you're only covering 2,000 square feet with that 4 gallons of water. Whereas if you're diluting at 1 gallon per 1,000, you're getting 4,000 square feet. So as far as like a way to save time as well too, 1 gallon per 1,000 is a good choice in my opinion. All right, so hopefully that helps, Squid Vicious. I think we're saying the same thing, but I just wanted to walk through it. All right, next up is Devin. He says, absolutely, I will get some dates together and we'll send them your way. Had a near 15-hour day Tuesday before the snow started to fly. We did our winter wedding agent app, snow mold, top dress the greens, part 1. Part 2, you covered the greens and got everything put to bed. It was supposed to start blowing out irrigation next week, but I don't see that happening now with this amount of snow. All snow removal for the resort, part 3. And grounds and club grounds of the club been up at 2:30 a.m. for snow removal. The worst part. That's brutal, man. You love your job. You love what you do. That is some serious dedication. But yeah, we'd love to hear the stories about it. Take some pictures if you can, so we can can do a show and tell whenever you find time to come on the live stream. I think the folks will enjoy it. All right, Michael Raymond, no relation to Usher Raymond, I don't think. He says, "Hey Ron, I walked outside the other morning and something wet hit my arm. Was it actually rain or a dream? Do you take a picture of it? Do you bottle it up and take it inside and study it, or did you let it just like run off?" It's hard to say, Michael. I mean, I would lean towards rain, but these days, especially if you're in Georgia, we can never be too sure. But I'm hoping that it was rainfall for you. What up, no fam is up. He says, "Good evening, Ron. This is your hype man from Detroit. What up, no? The election threw my lawn care schedule off, and now my lawn is covered up with leaves. Time to get to work. Peace." So the election got you all held back on your lawn, man. You got to keep the first things first, man. You got to make sure the lawn is good. Regardless of who your candidate is, they're not going to come mow your grass. They're not going to come blow the leaves off your lawn. They're not putting your fungicide out. So you got to make sure you take care of you. Take care of number one first. And then if you want to go out and support them and watch speeches and get out and do whatever you want to do, that's fine. But you got to make sure you take care of the lawn. You got to take care of number one first. It's important. But I'm glad you caught it. Finally, it's all over, so you can get back to your lawn care. So that's a good thing. All right, R. Graham is up next. Is signing in from Central Texas. Can't wait for next season. You and me both, man. I got to tell you, this year, normally when things slow down, I'm kind of happy because I'm like, okay, I don't have to mow as much. I can take a bit of a breather. But this year, I'm already kind of itching to get 2025 going. Like I got some stuff planned as far as the renovation in the front lawn, and just really looking forward to next year. The plan is to do a better job this year or next year of doing content, like some of the long form content. Like a lot of what's been released this past year has been shorts for the live stream. You guys have seemed to really like that, but also getting a lot of requests for some of the older, like the style that I used to do a lot more before, which is more of the long form content. So I'm dedicating to do more of that next season. So I'm looking forward to getting that going next year. So should be a good time. I think you guys will enjoy it. Speaking of Colin, he's in the live stream. He says, "What's up, Ron? Hopefully your Friday has been well. Tuning in for the turf talk tonight. I sent pics last Friday for the show, but I realized it was Thursday and I missed it. You said pictures, you say. Let me see if I can find them really quick. I might be able to find them. You said, oh no, the last picture I have from you, this can't be right, was from September. So it's probably my email indexing is broken, I imagine. So if you want to send the pictures quickly, I'll do my best to try and get them on the show. But if not, we can always do it next week. Again, the best time, guys, if you want to get your pictures on the live stream, the show starts at 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you can get your pictures emailed or anything you want me to like discuss or cover, sent or questions sent in, between 12 and 7. So before, on Friday between noontime and then 7 p.m. That would be ideal. That's when I start to put everything together and get my talking points together and get everything all set up in the software. So if you want to get your pictures on the live stream, while I can occasionally get them on here and there throughout the show, you can be pretty much guaranteed to get them on if you send them, before the show starts. So there is that. All right, next up we have, who do we have? Is that LG in the live stream? That can't be. Certainly it can't be LG in the live stream. I don't think so. I think I saw him over here saying hooray for the return of the long form videos. Very cool. All right. Next up is Abraham Soto. He says, good evening, Ron. When you core aerate, how deep do the cores need to be? Is it mandatory to top dress or level after aeration? Great question, Abraham. So really as deep as you can get. Most of the aerators you can get you're going to be able to buy at the big or rent at the big box stores are going to get you 2 inches, maybe 3-inch cores if you're fortunate. And that's going to be good. The pretty much most aerators, that's about what we're going to be limited to for the ones you're going to rent. If you go out and get like something like a Pro Core, like some heavy equipment, those can pull cores quite a bit deeper. And as far as is it mandatory to top dress for level after aeration? No, it's not at all. There's many people that aerate their lawns in the springtime or in the fall, and they don't top dress afterwards. The reason why I often tie aeration and top dressing together is that a great time to top dress your lawn is after aerating, but it's not like if you aerate your lawn, you must now top dress it. So reason being, if you aerate, the lawn is all opened up, the soil profile is all opened up. So if you top dress on top of that, it helps that top dressing material better integrate with the existing soil profile. So that's why I'm a fan of aerating and then top dressing nearly pretty close to each other. But again, not strictly mandatory if you don't want to do so. Not strictly necessary, but you're already there, so why not? Why not? That's what I'm saying. You're already doing all the hard work. Why not get out and top dress it as well? Improves drainage. You can mow lower, gives you that nice golf course lawn fairway appearance. Tons of benefits. Tons of benefits. Yes, there's pain involved, but pain is temporary. The glory of an amazing lawn is forever. All right, DJS1 is up next. He says, hey, Ron and fellow Bermuda lawn enthusiasts. Recently, I have a few spots in my lawn where I think thick slime mold is growing in a few spots. Any idea of how to kill it? It keeps coming back. Okay, so without seeing it, DGS1, what I would tell you is if you have areas of the lawn where you're developing mold, I would look at a couple of things. The most thing one would be drainage. So if you have an area of the lawn that's, say, near a driveway or near a sidewalk or just a low area in the lawn where anytime you have rainfall, water settles there and it stands there for a while, you're going to want to improve the drainage because that is going to help reduce the conditions that are going to allow algae and mold to develop. Another thing you can look at is the pH of the soil. If your soil tends to be more acidic, that also are conditions that allow like moss, algae, like those types of not really disease, but those types of plants are to develop in your lawn. So I would look at those two things. Look at drainage, because in most cases drainage is part of the problem, and then do a soil test of the lawn. And if if your pH is low, meaning your soil is more acidic, you can do a lime application. And between those two things, that should make a big difference as far as reducing the amount of algae or mold that you're dealing with in that area. There are products you can use, like some folks will use like iron to try and get rid of mold, but it's a temporary thing, right? To your point, it'll keep coming back until you fix the condition. So again, improve drainage, Do a soil test to make sure that your soil is not really acidic. Another thing you can look at too is if the area is heavily shaded. So that's also going to lead to it not drying out very quickly. That also can be part of the problem. Those are the kind of conditions that will cause algae and mold to be more likely to be a problem in your lawn. The shade issue, if that's it, is more difficult to fix, because if the shade's coming from your house, you can't really move your house. But if it's from like trees or nearby shrubbery, you could cut that back some to help improve, the amount of direct sunlight that's hitting it. But drainage is the thing that I look at first. Most people that email me or that reach out or that ask this question have issues with drainage in the area where the mold or algae is developing in their lawn. So that's what I would look at if I were you. It's a good question. All right. Next up is D&D Lawn Care. Says, is there a nitrogen blitz for warm season grass? No, there is not. I would not do that on warm season grass. Cool season grass is not really even strictly necessary either, but folks seem to really like it. Cool season lawn, if you want to do that, knock yourself out. I would not do it on a warm season lawn. All right, Michael Raymond is up next. He says, hit the like button reminder, hit that one with the thumbs up, that points up. I appreciate that. Michael, yeah, guys, we got 87 folks in the live stream, only 65 likes. Let's get those likes up. It costs you guys absolutely nothing. Hit the like button. You know what? I think LG is here in the live stream. So while I take a sip of my water, I'll even put on some Tango Bolero for you guys. And while I look for the next comment, hit that like button, guys. It's absolutely free. Costs nothing to do so. It's a great way to support the channel. All right. Ruben Texiera is up next. He says, should I mow lower settings? I'm afraid of getting snow mold. Well, mowing lower shouldn't necessarily cause snow mold, Ruben. What I'd also tell you is that I wouldn't make drastic changes to your height of cut this time of year. So, where your lawn is for the most part is where I would leave it at this point in the season. Again, I just wouldn't make huge changes, but that in itself, you mowing your lawn a little bit shorter should not lead to snow mold. If you're interested in learning more about snow mold, the causes of it and precautions you can help take for preventing it, we have a blog post on that very topic that was released a couple of weeks ago on preparing your lawn for winter snow mold, like treatments for it, and also practices you can use to help reduce the likelihood of you having that in your lawn. So I will link that for you here in the chat, and then you'll be good to go. So hopefully this is useful for you. But no, mowing a little bit shorter in itself shouldn't cause you to have snow mold problems. Jay Riviera says, hey Ron, I would love you to make a video on this, but you could briefly talk about the do's and don'ts of spray mixing, i.e. what applications are good to mix, which should be sprayed separately, etc. Sure, Jay, that's a great question. So when it comes to spraying products on your lawn, I would break them up in a couple of different groups or categories. So if you're dealing with soil-based products or products that even though they're a liquid, they need to get into the soil to work. So things that come to mind are like pre-emergent, fungicide, insecticide, fungicide. Like those all tend to be soil-based products. The fungicide, in some cases, you can spray and allow it to dry, but in most cases, you're going to water it in, right? So if you're spraying, say, pre-emergent and fungicide, in a lot of cases, you can mix those two and spray them at the same time, water it in, and it saves yourself some time, right? So pre-emergent, fungicide, insecticide, those typically can be used or can be sprayed together unless the label gives some guidance saying to the contrary. But because they're all soil-based, they benefit from a larger spray tip. So you would not want to use a spray tip like this with this red it's a fine droplet spray tip. Like you would not want to use one like this for spraying pre-emergent, fungicide, insecticide. You would not want to use something like this. You want to use a flood jet tip, one that produces a larger droplet when spraying or when applying products that are going to end up in the soil. So those being mixed together is a good grouping, right? Another grouping that you could say that you could do together would be fertilizers and also growth regulators. So say you're going to be spraying like our golf course lawn carbon kit, right? Which consists of Release 901C, NutriKelp, BioSpectrum, and you also wanted to use your spraying growth regulator. So say it's a time of year where you're out, you're spoon feeding, and you also want to regulate how quickly the lawn grows. You can absolutely, as a matter of fact, I do it every 2 weeks during the growing season. You can absolutely mix Primo Max, a new EZ. These are both different types of growth regulator, along with your liquid fertilizer of choice. Mix them all, and you can spray them all at the same time. Reason why that is a do, why that's a do, is because they all work via foliar uptake, right? So meaning you spray them on the grass and they can be allowed to dry. And with all of them, you really don't need to use surfactant. As a matter of fact, I don't really recommend that you use surfactant along with your liquid fertilizers or your growth regulators to prevent potential injury to the lawn. So that would be a do. Another do would be if you're doing herbicides. So say you're doing like post-emergent herbicides. So say you've got some nutsedge in your lawn, you got some crabgrass in your lawn, you got some broadleaf weeds in your lawn, right? So you could use for your broadleaves, again, I'm answering this for assuming you have a warm season lawn, you could use Celsius for your broadleaves. You could use something like Certainty for your sedges and grassy type weeds, and then like quinclorac for crabgrass. If you had a lawn that was, say, covered in all of those and you're trying to clean them all up and to save yourself a bunch of time, you could mix Celsius, Certainty, and quinclorac together and spray them all at once, because they are all post-emergent herbicides. They work via foliar uptake, and they all benefit from using surfactant. So even though they, like fertilizers, can be our foliar sprays, with most liquid fertilizers, at least the ones that we carry on the golf course lawn store, we really don't recommend that you use surfactant with them. Whereas with herbicides, surfactant is something that you're going to want to use to get best results. Another reason why you necessarily won't always want to mix fertilizer along with your post-emergent herbicides is depending on how you're going to be treating the lawn. With liquid fertilizer and growth regulator, in most cases, you're doing what's called a blanket spray. So you're going to be spraying the entire lawn. When it comes to post-emergent herbicides, in most cases, you're doing spot sprays. You're not, unless the lawn's a big mess and has been neglected, the need to blanket spray the entire lawn usually isn't necessary. So in that case, it would not make sense to mix your herbicides in with your liquid fertilizer and growth regulator, because one is designed to be kind of blanket sprayed over everything, and the other one is really designed to be spot sprayed. So really I'd say a general don't. It's not a hard don't, but as a general don't, I would not mix herbicides, post-emergent herbicides, along with my growth regulator and liquid fertilizer apps. I mean, could you, if you omitted surfactant, if you're doing a blanket spray, I guess you could, but in most cases, that's leans more in the don't category. So far we've got 3 different groups, right? We got our soil-based product group, so our pre-emergent insecticide, fungicide, and all those 3 that are soil-based, those typically can be used together and sprayed at once, assuming that it's the time of year for them to all be used. And then you have your stuff that causes growth or regulates growth. So like your biostimulants, fertilizers, and growth regulators. That's another grouping of products that you can usually mix together and spray. And there's normally not any bad interactions. Like all the stuff that we carry on the golf course lawn store, we've tested them together so that there's no problem with that. And then for your post-emergent herbicides, that's another grouping. Now, what about if you have a lawn, right? Say you're trying to save some time, right? So say we could fast forward to, say, springtime, right? And you just moved into a new house and someone else had it before and they were not about that lawn care life. So your lawn was completely neglected. It was ugly. There's weeds all through it. And you're trying to get things started off on the good foot. And you're saying, you know what? I got to kill weeds in the lawn and I got to put out a pre-emergent. Could you do your pre-emergent and your post-emergent herbicides together? The answer is yes, you could do that. I've done it before on a couple different cases, some scenarios, but the most one that I think about the most often is my next door neighbor when they had first moved in. The thing is, once you start mixing pre-emergent along with post-emergent herbicides, the one modification that I would recommend is that you don't use surfactant. The reason being is that the whole idea behind this is to help the product to stick and spread evenly on the leaf to help maximize uptake, which is great whenever you're applying a post-emergent herbicide like Celsius, Certainty, Tenacity, Sedgehammer, Quinclorac, and insert whatever herbicide you happen to be using, right? But it's not so great if you're trying to apply a product that needs to get in the soil. So we don't really want our pre-emergent sticking to the leaf of the plant because it needs to get in the soil to work, right? So if you happen to be, unfortunate that you're gonna you inherited a lawn that's got a bunch of problems in it. You're trying to do both post-emergent cleanup and pre-emergent at the same time. You can do that. I would just recommend that you omit surfactant if you decide to go that route. If you're doing that as well, I also would recommend that you use the large spray droplet, the large spray tip. This is what I would use. Now, because pre-emergent needs to be watered in, if you're spraying a post-emergent herbicide, if you happen to be doing that, so we're in group 4 now, which is kind of like an edge case. If you were to go out tomorrow morning and spray a mix of, say, Specticle and some post-emergent herbicides, what I would do is, if you sprayed them all tomorrow, I would not run your irrigation until the following day. I would give that concoction that you sprayed on the lawn ample time to dry, so that the post-emergent herbicides can be taken up by the weeds you're trying to control. And then the following day, when you run irrigation and you wash the pre-emergent down into the soil, you're still going to get some of the benefits of it. So that's one edge case I would say if you're going to try and combine pre and post-emergent herbicides, things you should be wary of. And I think that's it. I mean, I can put together a video on this. It's a good video. It's one I actually don't have, but yeah, in general, stuff that makes the lawn grow and regulates growth can be used together. Your fertilizers, growth regulators, biostimulants, all good to go with that. Stuff to control weeds in your lawn, like your post-emergent herbicides, it's another grouping that typically can be used together. And then your soil-based apps, your soil-based products, insecticide, fungicide, pre-emergent. That's another grouping that can usually be mixed and used together. So as far as how you want to deal with them after the fact, right? So when we actually cover this, but like when it comes to fungicide, insecticide, and pre-emergent, in most cases, you're going to want to water those in after application. For post-emergent herbicides, a don't is running irrigation afterwards. For those products, again, Celsius Certainty, Velocity, pretty much most post-emergent herbicides, not all of them, but most post-emergent herbicides, you're going to spray and allow them to dry on the weed or the plant you're targeting. You're not going to go run irrigation right afterwards. The same is true for the fertilizers, or most of the fertilizers that we carry on the golf course lawn store. They're designed to be used as foliar sprays. So you will spray them and allow them to dry. So that's another small do and don't. When it comes to foliar sprays, don't run irrigation right afterwards. When it comes to soil-based applications, run irrigation whenever it's convenient. Normally within 24 to 48 hours is a good idea. So hope that helps, Jay. It's not a complete video, but it kind of gives you, off the cuff, some things to keep in mind whenever it comes to spraying different products. You will need, to be covered, you're going to need 2 different spray tip types. You've got the flood jet spray tip, which produces a large droplet, and then you've got a foliar spray tip, fan tip, as what it's also called, which produces a fine droplet. So this is for pretty much everything other than pre-emergent, fungicide, and insecticide. So hope that helps, sir. If you need anything else, definitely let me know. Scott Corley says, how long will Headway G last after application? It's a good question, Scott. About a month is what I would tell you. So if whenever we recommend using Headway G to control an active disease problem in your lawn, you would apply it, say tomorrow, and then 14 to 21 days later, you would do another application. When you're using it preventatively, there's 2 times out of the year we recommend doing that. The first is in the months of May and June, and the second grouping, the second time, are in the months of October and then November. So beginning of October and the beginning of November. So you would do those applications, the preventative applications, about a month apart. So there's your answer. About a month is what you're looking at. And then next up is Ruben Texiera. Actually, you know what, Scott, I'm going to save that question because I'm sure other folks are going to have it, and you can be a short. It'd be kind of cool, right? Your name in lights on the internets. Okay, Ruben Texiera is up next. He says, when is the best time to fertilize winterize for the fall season? Yeah, so October time frame is a good time to start looking at doing that. If you're in Florida, South Texas, you can still do it this time of year. It really depends on where you are in the country. Ideally, before a couple of weeks before the first frost is coming in is what I'd recommend when it comes to putting out your winterizer fertilizer. And as far as the product that I'd recommend, the fertilizer of choice for doing that type of thing, would be this guy. Again, if you go to shop and the lawn fertilizer on the golf course lawn store, this guy right here, 12024, excellent choice as a fall/winterizer fertilizer. Great one to close out the season. All right, next up is Squid Vicious. You're cool. So we agree. We agree then, right? I think so. I think we were both good to go, Squid. And then next up we got Warrior One says, what's the best herbicide to get rid of weeds on St. Augustine Bermuda grass? Okay, so you have a lawn that is St. Augustine and Bermuda, and you want to get rid of weeds in both of them. Celsius would be good. Certainty would also be good. It depends on the weed you're dealing with. If you're dealing with broadleaf weeds, then Celsius. If you're dealing with sedges and some grassy weeds, then Certainty. So we have a kit for warm season turf grass on the golf course lawn store under shop, and then weed killer. This contains Celsius, Certainty, surfactant, and dye. So it comes with everything you need to cover, you know, almost 3 acres of property. This would be great for your St. Augustine lawn that has both St. Augustine and Bermuda in it, if that's your question. Now, if your question is, how do I get rid of Bermuda in St. Augustine? That's a different problem. You would use a herbicide combination called using recognition as part of it, and then Fusilade 2 as part of it. So I'm not sure exactly what you're asking, but this, like for removing Bermuda out of St. Augustine or zoysia, this is what you're going to want to use. And you really need to use all of it. You can't use one or the other. Fusilade 2 is what does a lot of the heavy lifting for removing the Bermuda grass. And then recognition is what makes Fusilade safe to spray on St. Augustine and zoysia at the rates that you need to spray it to be able to get good control of Bermuda grass. So this concoction, the only thing in here that's sort of optional, but I still would recommend it, is the marker dye. But surfactant, recognition, and Fusilade, these three are required if you're looking to get rid of Bermuda in a St. Augustine or zoysia lawn. So not sure which one you're after. If it's just general weed control in both a combination Bermuda and zoysia lawn, then Bermuda St. Augustine lawn, then Celsius and Certainty are great choices. If you're looking to get rid of Bermuda out of St. Augustine, then recognition and Fusilade along with surfactant are what you're going to want to use. You cannot use Fusilade by itself, and you don't want to use recognition by itself. You got to use both of them. So recognition and Fusilade. It's like a combo that needs to be paired together to work well, which is why we put it in a kit on the golf course lawn store. So I'll put them both in the chat for you, so you'll have them both. That's to get rid of Bermuda grass in St. Augustine and zoysia, and then this is for general weed control in a warm season turf grass. Pretty much all warm season lawns other than Bahia, because you can't use Celsius on Bahia, but pretty much everything else you are good to go. All right, so they're both in there. Should be all set, Warrior One. All right, Corey is up next. He says, hey, Ron, I'm here in Georgia and still a little warm out. Can I apply fertilizer and pre-emergent? You can apply pre-emergent if you're out regularly mowing and you still want to fertilize the lawn, you can. What I would say this time of year is you really want to look more towards like a winterizer type fertilizer, something with higher potassium. So like our 12024 is a good choice, Corey. But certainly you wouldn't be feeding the lawn this time of year on the same schedule that you do during, say, the spring and summer months. But if you want a fertilizer to apply this time of year, that would work all right. This is what I'm looking for you here in the chat is what I would that's what I would go with. All right. LG, the notorious LG has returned. He says he celebrates 34 months. Man, talk about dedication, man. You know, we got to clap up for that. We got to give you love for that, man. 34 months of membership. He says, hooray for the return of the long form videos. Yes, I got to do more of that last year. I got a lot of complaints this year about saying, hey, man, where's the long form stuff? So next year, I'm committing to doing more of that for you guys. So it'll be back. It'll be back. So good stuff, LG. I'm glad that you see. That's all I had to say to get you to come out of hiding. I'll take it. And the next up is Bill Stewart. He says, you really don't know your turf unless you spend some time manicuring it. The Palace of Versailles is my inspiration. LOL. All right, I'll take that, Bill. That's pretty cool. All right. And Colin says, I just sent the pictures over again. Let's see. What have you sent here? Oh my, that looks good. Well, you got some areas that are filling in, but overall not bad, Colin. Yeah, man. Hang on, let's get these here in the live stream so the folks can take a look at all of your hard work. You know what? I am putting this in the wrong directory, so we'll do this. We'll just make Colin his own folder. Colin, and go. All right, so these are the pictures he sent of his paspalum lawn, and some pictures of it. Cool, very, very nice. All right, so this is what Colin's working with. Gotta tell you, Colin, your lawn has come together really nice over the course of the season. I know you did like a renovation project on it, and that came out really nice. So overall, like, first of all, we got to take some time to appreciate the crispy edge. Really nice work on that. You know, I mean, at least you're not like me, where you be out there posting pictures of your lawn and the edge is not right. Your edge is always, always tight, always clean. I like it. And then you can barely make out where you sodded, like where the old sod was, where the new one is. So this came in really nicely. And a little close up there, looking good. And then finally the back lawn, which I believe you said you edged with a string trimmer, right? Overall looks pretty good, man. Can't hate on that. Looks good. Very nice. You know what? I got to say, those of you guys with smaller lawns, on some level, I am envious, because if you have a smaller property, it is so much less work. Like, you can get out there and mow and it's not that much time. You know, you can be out there in 20 minutes, half an hour, and you can like cut it, edge it, do all your cleanup. It doesn't take that much time at all. So it's really cool to have a smaller lawn. You can really get looking as nice as possible. So small lawns unite, right? Got to put some respect on your name. Dwayne T is up next. He says, I'm in upstate South Carolina with common Bermuda. Recent soil test results show phosphorus, potassium, and micronutrients are low in my backyard. When and how should I correct this? It's a great question, Dwayne. So as far as how, I would use a granular fertilizer like our 14714. When I would correct it, I would wait really until the springtime. I wouldn't really do it this time of year. I would wait until early March timeframe. And then as far as your micronutrients, that 14714 has some micronutrients in it. If you're looking for a complete micronutrient solution, you could use our new, well, not new at this point, but launched this year, micronutrient fertilizer. So I know I've said a lot, but you're like, Ron, where them links at? Why don't you just help me with that? Why are you telling me all this stuff when you could just tell me where I need to go? So at Dwayne, this is the fertilizer that you're going to want to use. And depending on how low your phosphorus and potassium are, you may want to bump the rates up over that 0.5 pound per 1,000 rate that I normally recommend. And then for your micronutrient, and that does have some micronutrient in it, but if you're looking for a product that has all the micronutrients, then this would be a good option because it's strictly a micronutrient. All it is micros. So micronutrient fertilizer. Yeah, so these guys would be the ones to use. And then again, I would wait until in South Carolina, March next year is when I would begin correcting that. You already got the soil test results. You're probably not going to have to do it again next year, but you already know. In other words, once the lawn is beginning to wake up, like it's starting to green up a little bit, starting to come out of dormancy, is when I would get about the business of bringing those levels up. All right, Jay Rivera says, thanks for answering my question and the quick breakdown. We'll definitely save this video for future reference. I got a cool season lawn to take care of, and you're a great source to follow. Peace. I appreciate that, Jay. I'm glad it was useful. All right, Najee Hansen, he says, when using liquid fertilizer, should I water it in or let it sit on the lawn? It depends on the type of liquid fertilizer you're using. There are some liquid fertilizers that you need to water in. All of the ones that we carry on the Golf Course Lawn Store, other than Greens Plus, are designed to be sprayed and allowed to dry on the lawn. So I'll show you really quickly. Najee, if you go to the Golf Course Lawn Store, you go to shop and to lawn fertilizer, assuming it loads. This always happens whenever I'm sharing this. Let's try this. See if it will come up. Yeah, so all of these, so Primo Max is not really a fertilizer, but I'll just go kind of walk through what you don't need to water in. Or, easier way of doing this. The only liquid fertilizer that we carry that you do need to water in is Is it on here? Is Greens Plus. It's going to be this guy. This one is the only one that we carry that needs to be watered in after application. Everything else other than this one, you can spray and allow it to dry. And that is by design because, the cost of like running irrigation, there's a cost associated with that, right? So pretty much all the liquid fertilizers that we went with, so Primo Max, our growth regulators, and all the Miramichi products, along with the new fertilizers that we developed this year, well, really last year, but released this year, along with the Andersons. These are designed to be sprayed and allowed to dry the lawn. You need to run irrigation once you are done. Spray and go on with your day. You are done. That's all there is to it. All right, we got Higgy Pop saying, happy Friday, Ron. Let's all hit the like button. It's free. Absolutely, guys. Hit that like button. We are winding down. If you've not done so as yet, hit that like button. It's a great and free way to support the channel. And then Colin says, thanks, Ron. Time to take it up a notch next year, though, and really get it dialed in. Yes, for the most part, I use a string trimmer. I've been alternating and using rotary scissors too as well. Nice. This is the thing, Colin. You will always be the worst critic of your lawn. Like, there'll always be aspects of it that you don't like, and will always, there's always gonna be, you're always gonna see the problem areas. This is how I am with my lawn. But I can tell you, you're doing really well, and based on where you are ending the season, next year is gonna be even that much better once you do start up the season. So keep going. That's all I can tell you. Consistency is what really matters. It is king. So definitely just keep doing what you're doing. It's only gonna get that much better. Next up is Mars Beach. Says, quick question. My turf type tall fescue is new in the world. It's only 5 weeks old. What do I need to put down before this winter? Thanks. It's a great question, Mars Bees. So the same fertilizer, the 12-0-24, would be a good option to close out the season on the new lawn. Outside of that, if you've not done granular biostimulant like Essential G, that would also be good. But that's all I would really do. I wouldn't do much more than that. Essential G and a granular biostimulant, a granular fertilizer like our 12-0-24. That is what I would roll with. And you can get both of them if you just want to read about them or just pick them up. You can get both of them here, and then that's really it. I mean, you've done all the hard work. You'll be good to go for next season. What I would not do is I would not do pre-emergent, and I would avoid herbicides really of any kind if you can on the new lawn. Those are some don'ts, but yeah, Essential G and 12-0-24. That is how I would close things out. All right, and then he says you're gonna try to address some problematic areas like the right side in the front and the back area in the front needs the most work to match the rest of the yard. Very cool. Very cool. And then our last comment of the evening, was Robert in here tonight? I don't know if I even saw a comment from him. I thought I saw him in the show before, but I don't see him now. Huh, weird. Okay, next up is LTX Shep. He says, I'm aerating this weekend and applying Specticle FLO afterwards. Can I also fertilize or should I wait a bit? You could do them all on the same day if you wanted to, LTX Shep. So if you live in a part of the country where you're still feeding the lawn or you're putting out your winterizer, the sequence that I would do is I would do the granular fertilizer first, and then I would do your pre-emergent, like Specticle FLO afterwards, and then water them all in once you're finished. So the sequence is fertilizer, and then herbicides afterwards, or pre-emergent afterwards, and then water it all in. So that would be how I would do that. You are very, very welcome, Mars Bees. I'm glad that it was useful. And guys, gals, I think that is it. That's all the questions we have for this evening. It's a good show, man. I thought it was gonna be quieter tonight. I thought it was gonna be slower, but you guys had some good questions. So I guess now that the stress of all the elections and being bombarded with ads all the time are finally over, we can get back to the business of lawn care, which is kind of cool. And as always, I appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out with me on Friday nights. And there's other places you could be, but really appreciate that you take the time to come and talk about lawn care, because it truly is an important part of what we enjoy doing, right? Be sure to check out the new blog. It is the pinned comment in the live stream. So if you're looking for things you can do this time of year to prepare your lawn, both now and to get the most out of your lawn in the 2025 season, check out that new blog post. Again, Essential G is still in stock. We have a little bit more of it left, but when it is gone, it is gone. So feel free to load up and take advantage of the reduced price of that product while it lasts. Again, thank you guys so much. If you're going to get out there and play in your lawn this weekend, be safe, have fun. And until next time, take care. I'll see you guys next week.